What is going on, guys? Drew YGO back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and today we are doing my deck profile for Watt Control. The Watts are a very interesting little group of monsters. I really do love their art, especially Watt Cobra and Watt Hopper. It's got to have one of my favorite art styles in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I really do enjoy the Thunder type monsters. They are very underrepresented. But the whole gimmick with Watts is that they can all attack directly, and you get some sort of beneficial effect, or your opponent gets some kind of detrimental effect. And they're just a very interesting archetype, I will say. So, we'll go ahead and get into the deck profile. First up, we have 3 copies of Thunder Seahorse. You can discard it to add 2 level 4 Light Thunder type monsters with the same name from your deck to your hand, and that can be any of your Hunders, or, of course, any of your Watts, except for Watt Hopper or Watt Fox, obviously. So, it does have the downside of you cannot special summon the turn you activate the effect, but with the Hunter engine that we're playing, a very small Hunter package, you're not actually special summoning. It's treated as an additional normal summon, so we kind of skirt around that just a little bit. Next, we have 3 copies of Vylon Prism. This is the tuner for the deck, so you can go into things like Draco Berserker or Thought Ruler. Again, just a really good card. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a special summon effect, but you can normal summon it down the line while you're doing your Watt plays, because this deck is designed for control. It is designed to play the long game. It is not intended to kill your opponent as fast as possible. So we do have that option of normal summoning. Next, we have the just a small Hunter package. We've got 3 Ma Hunter and 3 Pa Hunter. Pretty much their effect is you can normal summon a level 4 Light Thunder type monster from your hand, accept itself, and is treated as an additional normal summon. They both have the exact same effect. However, they cannot normal summon, or I guess special summon themselves, right? So you can't get 2 Ma Hunter, you can't get 2 Pa Hunter. Next, we have 3 copies of Watt Giraffe. It can attack your opponent directly, as with most of the Watts in the deck. And if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of this turn. So this is the one that you want to be attacking with first. Of course, you'll see in the replays later that I don't do that for some reason. For some reason, I just go all gung-ho on Watt Cobra, but it's easy to do that, and we'll find out in a second. Next, we have 3 copies of Watt Pheasant. This is the 3rd best of the level 4s, I will say, because it's not entirely terrible. I think it's actually quite good. Pretty much when it deals battle damage by a direct attack, you can select a face-up monster on the field and remove it from play until the end of the turn. So that's pretty good, getting rid of your opponent's boss monsters, or if you banish an Xyz monster by this effect, it will lose all of its materials when it comes back onto the field. Next, we have 3 copies of Watt Cobra. This is your best Watt monster by far. It's kind of a toss-up between Cobra and Giraffe, but this is a very good card. It can attack directly, obviously, and when it deals battle damage, you can add a Watt monster from your deck to your hand. I wish this said Watt card, because there is one Watt card that we'll get into in a second, which is just absolutely insane, the amount of advantage you can get off of it, but either way, we got 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. If you want a more budget-friendly version of the deck, I'll offer you some alternatives. Obviously, you can go Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion here, but right now on Edo Pro, where nothing costs money, you can get Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Next, we got 2 copies of Watt Fox. This is our other tuner for the deck. It's not nearly as good as Vylon Prism, but you need it to go into your level 6 plays, and especially Watt Chimera. So we're running just the 2 of. Next, we have 2 copies of Watt Hopper. We're running 2 of these because its effect is your opponent cannot select another face-up Watt monster as an attack target or target them with card effects. And so if you have 2 Watt Hoppers on the field, you essentially just lock your opponent out of targeting you for an attacks or targeting you with card effects. And they call it the Hopper Lock, I believe. So that's why we're running 2. 3 is a bit excessive because, you know, they do kind of clog up your board just a little bit. So we got the 2 of, just in case you want to completely lock your opponent out of targeting you for attacks or card effects. Lastly, for our hand trap roundup, we have 2 copies of Effect Veiler, for obvious reasons, and it's a lot cheaper than it used to be. Next, we have 3 copies of Watt Train. So this is the spicy one. This was a fairly recent. I think it was actually a while ago, if memory serves me correctly. But this is a. It didn't come with the original Watts, I'll say that. And its effect is you can add Watt cards with different names from your deck to your hand, except Watt Train, up to the number of Thunder monsters you control with different names. So already, you know, you can go +1 or +2 off of this card, but it has an additional effect. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard, special summon as many Watts monsters as possible with different names from your hand. And you can only use each effect of Watt Train once per turn. This is just insane. I mean, if this was printed for any other archetype, it would be banned immediately. And it's just super good for the deck. You'll see in the following replays just how great this card is. I really, really love this card. Next, we got the 1 copy of Recycling Batteries. It's like Monster Reborn, but for Thunders with 1500 or less attack, which is a majority of them. I think the highest attack we have on one of our Watts is 1200, so that's easily accessible, and you can add them to your hand. So not quite Monster Reborn, but, you know, it ends up being very good because it combos well with Watt Train. Next, we have 2 copies of Messenger of Peace. Monsters with 1500 or more attack cannot declare an attack once per turn during your standby phase, pay 100 life points, or destroy this card. It might as well not even have a downside. I mean, that last part, 100 life points is basically nothing. But, like I said earlier, a majority of our Watt monsters don't have 1500 or more attack, and even the Watt boss monster only has 1400, so it just barely gets out of the way of Messenger of Peace, and it's a good little floodgate for battle interaction, because that's mostly how they're going to be destroyed. So that's that. We got 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Again, if you want a budget version of this deck, you can use something like Solemn Judgment, because I believe that is a lot cheaper than Infinite Impermanence, or you can just swap out any kind of floodgate that you wish, and the budget floodgate that I'm going with is Anti-Spell Fragrance. Both players must set spell cards before activating them. For this deck in particular, it's not the worst thing in the world, because we only have, let's see, 6 spells, right? So, not the worst thing in the world. You can go ahead and activate your Watt Train, then set your Anti-Spell Fragrance, and then activate it on your opponent's turn, and you can still activate Watt Train from the graveyard on the following of your turns. Finally, for the extra deck, I don't know why this is in here. I built this deck very early in the morning, so just forget that. Replace that with any level 8 synchro that you desire. This can be Borreload Savage Dragon. We'll just go ahead and say, for this moment, that this is Borreload Savage Dragon. We got 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, 2 Thought Ruler Archfiend, 1 Coral Dragon, 1 Bryanek, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, 2 Watt Chimeras, 1 Divine Arsenal, Zeus, 2 Baguska. This card really comes in handy for the deck. 1 Silent Honor Arc, 1 number 106 Giant Hand, and 2 Some Summer Summoner. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know in the comments what you would change, what you would do different, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, and yeah, we'll get into some duel replays here in a moment, and this has been Drew YGO. Until next time.